Guys, we got Curtis Lazar. Obviously, I'm kidding. I could care less about Curtis Lazar because we got Taylor Hall. This Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall is a Boston Bruin. Say it with me. Taylor Hall is a Boston Bruin. He's ours, and we love him. And he's having a horrible season. Really, really bad season. But we don't have to worry about that because he's on our team now, and he's going to be so awesome. And there's going to be a power play with Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak, Hall, and whoever else is so lucky to play with these players. We're going to have to call up Bobby Orr, tell him that we're going to take number 4 down from the rafters because we have to give it to Hall because he's going to be the best Bruin of all time. And this is absolutely insane. I don't even know where to start. I am exhausted. I was doing a Mike Reilly video, so I didn't even know that Taylor Hall was a Bruin. I was doing that for you guys, so please go watch the Mike Reilly video because I was spending all that time not knowing that Taylor Hall was a Bruin for you guys, and I'm so excited about Mike Reilly, but really not because we have Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall's a Bruin. I should just end the video there. I don't even know what else there is to be excited about. So I guess we should talk about the trade itself for those of you who don't know, and we're going to get into that. Sorry if I leave anything out. I'm likely going to do more videos tomorrow on the trade deadline as a whole, so I will go back, reevaluate these deals for the Bruins, talk about any other deals that they make if they make some more. I wouldn't rule anything out now because I really didn't expect this to happen, and Don did it. It's an absolute steal of a trade, so they still have assets if they want to bring in more pieces. I don't know if they can do that, but there's so many storylines that come out of this Taylor Hall trade, so I'll likely be doing plenty of videos on Taylor Hall moving forward. One of the biggest things right off the bat is that he's open to negotiating a contract. They said that if he's traded somewhere that he would talk with that team about signing an extension. He had to waive a no movement clause to come to Boston, so he did want to come to Boston. He didn't have to come here just because Buffalo traded him here. And let me get into the trade. So like I said, I will do plenty of videos on Taylor Hall. I'll try to answer all your questions down below. And if I leave anything out, all that matters is, once again, Taylor Hall is a Bruin. So the Boston Bruins get Taylor Hall and Curtis Lazar from the Buffalo Sabres for Anders Bjork and a second round pick. Now, as I mentioned briefly, Taylor Hall is having a really bad season. He is not looking like MVP or first overall pick Taylor Hall, but he's playing on a really bad Buffalo Sabres team. Morale is down so low. It's really hard for a player like that to come out and have such a bad start and then lose a guy like Jack Eichel. He signed there so he could play with Eichel, and then Eichel has barely been with the team this year. So you can't really blame Hall for struggling and then not being motivated because of the team he's on. He's definitely going to have some motivation now and be playing with a lot better players. So the fact that you got a former first overall pick, a former MVP of the league, the fact that you got Taylor Hall without having to give up a first round pick is really impressive. No matter how bad his season is this year, that's a really impressive trade. And this is by far the best trade that Don Sweeney has done on day one. Anders Bjork, am I sad to see him go? Kind of. It got me Taylor Hall, so I don't really care who it is. But Anders Bjork was falling out of favor for a long time. Bruce Cassidy didn't like him. He has some inconsistency problems. He has a lot of speed. Couldn't really finish on it. And Curtis Lazar is a solid bottom 6 guy. So basically you're trading Bjork for Lazar, and then you get Hall for a second round pick. If you wouldn't do that trade, I don't know what to tell you, because this is an absolute steal. And I think 99% of all people, especially in the hockey world, would agree. Don nailed this. I'm going to try and do this like my normal trade video format, but I feel like most people know about Taylor Hall, so I won't spend too much time on that. And I told you guys I might forget something. I forgot to mention that the Buffalo Sabres are also retaining 50% of Taylor Hall's salary. He's making $8 million for this season, and then he'll be a UFA. And I really hope that Don Sweeney is working on that next contract with Taylor Hall as we speak, because if you're able to sign him at a cheaper deal than he would normally get, and then he pops with the Bruins, that would be fantastic. So for those of you who don't know, or if you've been living under a rock, Taylor Hall was the first overall pick in the 2010 NHL draft. That was the draft that the Boston Bruins selected Tyler Seguin second overall. They did want to select Taylor Hall, but he was the consensus number 1, and the Bruins never got a chance. I don't know if they tried to trade up, but obviously Tyler Seguin is a great player as well. Unfortunately, they had to trade Tyler Seguin away and got nothing for that, but it all works out because in the end, you get Taylor Hall anyway for Anders Bjork. So I would say that story has a happy ending for now. Taylor Hall's 29 years old. He's a 6'1" left winger. He has a ridiculous amount of talent. I think people forget he's had a couple of tough stretches with some teams, and this season with Buffalo has been really bad. In 37 games, he has 2 goals, 17 assists, 19 points, and is a -21. And for a guy who won the Hart Trophy just a couple years ago in 2018 with 93 points in 76 games, that's a pretty big drop-off. But if you look over his career, he is definitely worth that first overall selection. In 664 games, he has 220 goals, 362 assists, for a total of 582 points. Unfortunately, he is a -63 for his career. But we're not talking about that. We're only positive because Taylor Hall is a Bruin. He is going to fit so well with this team. He has a ridiculous amount of speed. Can he be a liability in his own end? Yeah, but you have such great defensive forwards like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Charlie Coyle. Those guys can play your defense for you. Hall can put up points. I cannot wait to see him playing with a guy like Krejci. Maybe he even gets a look on the Bergeron line. Maybe him and Marchand can switch sides. I don't really know, but it gives you so many options. And I should probably mention, I've been pretty hard on him this season because of his inconsistent play and the constant injury problems. But we get to keep Jake DeBrusk. I think there was a lot of speculation that if you're going to do this deal for Hall and you're somehow not going to include a first-round pick, that you'd either have to give a top prospect or a really solid young player like a Jake DeBrusk. You end up only having to give up Anders Bjork, so it's huge that we now have Brad Marchand, Taylor Hall, Nick Ritchie, Jake DeBrusk, all on the left side. Now, I think one of them will end up switching to the right eventually, probably a Nick Ritchie or a Jake DeBrusk, because those guys are kind of used to playing that, and they're a lot less level of talent than Brad Marchand and Taylor Hall, so they can kind of still play their game playing on the right side. But it's huge that we get to keep Jake DeBrusk here. He could still get moved, I guess, but I think now the Bruins really have that depth up front that they've been looking for so long. They have a really legit first line. It's the best line in hockey when it's going with Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak. I did like Pasternak with Krejci, but now that we have Hall, I would think that you have Krejci, Ritchie, and Hall. Then you can have Craig Smith, who has been red hot lately, with Charlie Coyle, and playing alongside Jake DeBrusk. That's a really good top 9. So we'll get into the Bruins lineup in a later video. This video has already been so long, and I want to talk about Curtis Lazar because I feel like nobody's going to talk about him. The Bruins also get Curtis Lazar in this deal. He's a center who can also play wing. He's 6 feet. He's 26 years old. He was also a first-round pick. He was selected in the first round of the 2013 draft, 17th overall. He's signed for this year and next, so he's not just a rental, which I always like, and he's signed for a reasonable cap hit of $800,000. In 317 games, he has 25 goals, 45 assists for a total of 70 points, and he's a -24 for his career. Now, throughout the entire day, it seems we're bringing on a lot of guys who are minus throughout their career, but once again, I will repeat that these guys have been on bad teams, so you can't really fault him. He's definitely a bottom 6 guy, but he can give you some offense. This year with the Buffalo Sabres, in 33 games, he has 5 goals, 4 assists for a total of 9 points, and he's a -4. So right off the bat, he has 3 more goals than Taylor Hall this season, and we can all tell that I'm really excited about Taylor Hall. I think Sean Kuraly and Chris Wagner have been extremely inconsistent. I don't expect them to light it up, but I expect them to be a lot better than they have been. Now that you throw Curtis Lazar in the mix, he's on the younger side, and he can help give some competition there, and he brings some versatility where he can play center and wing. It's awesome that we got Hall, and it's great that this guy was thrown in because he has some term, and I think he can be a really good bottom 6 Bruin. And I definitely want to mention Anders Bjork. I don't want him to just be forgotten. I felt really bad how he was treated here at the end with the Boston Bruins. I was one of those guys who was always advocating for him to come back into the lineup. In 138 games with the Bees, he had 16 goals, 23 assists, total of 39 points, and he was a -2 for his career. Those stats aren't fantastic, and he wasn't having a great season with the Bees. In 30 games, he has 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, and is a -8. So I understand why he was getting scratched, but I love his speed. I do still think he has a little bit of upside. He's still young enough that he can grow more, and maybe if he gets a bigger opportunity playing with the Buffalo Sabres, he can become that player we all expected him to become. But it's not like he was one of the Bruins' top young players or their top prospects. We get to keep Jake DeBrusk. If I'm going to keep one of the two, I would much rather keep a guy like DeBrusk. I'm glad we didn't have to include a guy like a Trent Frederick or a Jack Studnicka. I still love the upside of those guys a lot more than an Anders Bjork. I know there's some Bjork fans out there, but it just wasn't going to work with the Boston Bruins. And you have to put it in perspective here. You're getting a former MVP, and Bjork is the only player you had to include. So at the end of the day, you hate to see Bjork go, but really, it's going to be fine, and he's easily replaced. So that was a crazy night. I definitely didn't expect any of that. I was really sad after watching them get absolutely destroyed by the Washington Capitals, and this really brought faith back into the team for me. I realized the blue line was really banged up tonight, so that's a big factor in them losing, but this is awesome. I love to see that Don Sweeney was working the phones, was aggressive, and he made some really good deals, and hopefully there's even more. I know I'm getting greedy here, but you never know. The way that Don Sweeney made these trades, as I mentioned before, he still has plenty of assets. I love that he brings in Mike Reilly to help out in the back end. Clearly, we need more defensive depth. You get a guy in Curtis Lazar who seems like he's going to be a great bottom six Bruin who's going to work hard. He has some leadership ability. I know he was a captain before at the World Juniors and they won gold, so he has that great leadership ability. The Bruins always love that. He has a little bit of skill. He was expected to be a lot better than a fourth liner when he was drafted, so you never really know when a guy can pop. I love having that in the bottom six. And we get Taylor Hall. I think he's going to go right back to becoming the Taylor Hall that we all know when he's here with Boston. And my only hope is that if he does become that player, we're able to keep him. So this was a lot to take in. I'm definitely going to be doing more videos on this, so stay tuned. If you have any questions, you can throw them down in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And I know that I've been a little scattered, so thanks for watching the video, and if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. I hope you had some laughs. At the end of the day, I really am a fan, and I love doing these videos, and I love doing these videos for you guys, but I love my Boston Bruins, and this is really exciting, and I hope you guys are excited too. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big like, and if you want more crazy videos like this, make sure you subscribe.